Hello there, and welcome to the only rocket science simulator that's been designed for my level 4 and 5 students in order for them to learn the fundamentals of rocket science in the modelling of the flight for a single stage model rocket. This is part of their main assignment for the academic year 2014-15 and represents in total 15% of their overall grade for that assignment. In front of us here you can see the main meeting area that's been set up where we can have tutorials and we can have meetings, certainly students can. We'll just wander over to one of the learning spaces that's been set up. There are 4 in all. They look identical except the rockets that they'll be using for the simulations are slightly different. They've all been modelled on actual rockets that existed in the UK during the 60s and 70s. And it's a linear learning experience for the students. It's ideally suited to collaborative work. This is the start of it. There is on here, the left, a board explaining what needs to be done as they move through the learning experience. And there are note card boards, so if we touch on the board, a note card appears explaining what the requirements are for the learning, and this can be saved to the inventory for later reference. So as we move in, stage 1, rocket orientation. This is learning about rockets in general. Again, another note card explaining things like the engine codings, what they mean. This is bound to be new to most people, one reason why I chose it. And as we move into the area, notice the green balls that are hanging in the air here and there. They're actually chat recorders, because I will be recording conversations that my students are having as part of the grading exercise, and some boards and some models all labelled explaining rockets and basic principles, F equals ma, and of course a breakdown of the engine technology available for models. And once they've been along here and had a look, feel happy, they move to stage 2. Now stage 2, this is where we're actually going to get into some of the assessment. I'll explain that as we move along, but again they touch on a board there, they pick up a note card and it details those things, the objectives. I also ask for some reflection as well in these, and you'll see how they submit those in a moment. Moving in to the first zone, the boost phase flight calculations. Essentially the students, this will res slightly better in a moment, the students will read this board essentially and learn how to go through those initial calculations. Notice there's a calculator, an online calculator on the right if they wish to use that. There is a note board here for note cards, and again they can touch on that. And this is an example template of the boost phase, and you can see they can fill it in with their own results from the calculations. And they also have the chance that once they've finished reading through for practice, they actually get random note cards given to them here. The idea is, again, they fill them in and they save them to their inventory, and when they're happy they have one that's going to work for them, they simply drag it from the inventory into the Dropbox, and I will then use that for grading. We move on once more, we come to the second phase, which is the coast phase flight calculations. Exactly the same procedure. We are keeping things very similar here, so that once you've seen one, apart from the detail, you know what to do with all of them. And finally the recovery phase, exactly the same process again. So as they move through here, they will have worked on and submitted to me 3 note cards. Well, we move on a bit further here, and this is the stage 3, and again stage 3 has its own note card. What will happen in this phase is that the students will put together their understanding of the previous 3 phases there of the rocket's flight into one overall calculation. I've introduced some simulation here for them. And you can see possibly hear the sounds there of mission control. 3 different rockets they can choose. We'll maybe choose this one. Again, touch the note card. Explains what they need to do. Again, full calculations this time, rather than dividing into smaller components. and they simply keep that if they wish. Once they've worked these things out, again they drag the note card into the drop box, but just to see if they do have it right, they can now click on the launch control, which will bring up a small menu, and they choose the engine configuration, and yes, we're okay to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rocket's gone. It will return. It will return by parachutes, as they should. All very reusable. There it is. Bit quick return, but it's there. And here's the results of that actual flight, so they can check their calculations with the model answer here. Well, all in all, this proved to be a very successful project in that sense. The students themselves engaged with it very enthusiastically. The overall grade for the assignment came out to 56.46%. I was happy with that. In the 10-day period, my students, there were 15 of them, made 171 unique visits, logged 421 lines of conversation. Pretty good. The touch events that you saw me using on the boards and on the actual launch control were all recorded in a MySQL database, and I managed to get some 1,300 click events. So there was a lot of engagement there, and the students certainly enjoyed it. If you'd like to know more about this project, it has been published as a research project proposal, and it's on the University of Greenwich campus website, and the link to that is shown below this video. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much. In future, if you'd like to know more about my work in virtual worlds and Second Life, just come into Second Life and look for Skipperable and teleport over to my sim, and you'll find lots more project reports there. Bye for now.